Hold on. Okay. Today, we're going to get into obeying your intuition. And another full disclaimer, I don't have any notes. I didn't take any notes today. We are just going to chat. We're going to talk about intuition and obedience and how that looks and how that works. And that's going to be that. I am, first and foremost, I had a download this morning before I even got out of bed. And actually, that's a lie. I was out of bed, but I was coming into my office. And yesterday I was under like a lot of chaotic energy, if you will. Yesterday was very much like, oh my God, I'm rushing. I gotta hurry up. I gotta get here. I gotta get there. There's not enough time. Like that type of like, the spirit of rush, the spirit of hurry was yesterday. And so today I had a download and I made a video on it earlier that I haven't posted yet, but it was very much like, I am not in a rush. I do not need to race the clock. I always have enough time to do what it is that I need to do. Even if my list of tasks is long, even if there's a lot on my plate, quote unquote, right? Even if all of these things are true, my new reality is that I always have enough time to do it. And I tell you this, I'm starting it off like this to let you know that what you declare must be. What you declare must happen. Because, especially if it's coming through intuitively, when it comes through intuitively, if we look at our intuition is our most spiritual sense of self, right? It is the inner voice that can connect us to outside of the 3D realm. If you sit and meditate, that's intuitive guidance. If you do intuitive writing, that's intuitive guidance, right? And so it's the one thing that keeps us, it's soul level, right? It's the one thing that does not stay within, it's within the body, but it's the one thing that you cannot see within the body. It's your intuition. You have your own gut feelings and things like that. And so when your intuition tells you something, when your intuition gives you that type of download, and then you begin to believe it and you begin to say it out loud or write it out or fully embody it, well, then the reality has to match, because if the intuition is the most connected to the divine or to the outside, to whatever, to what's outside of the 3D, the job of the universe is to magnify and multiply that frequency. And so when you adapt the frequency of, I always have enough time, and I'm not in a rush, I don't need to rush, there's no reason for me to rush, well, then you're going to start to see your reality shift around that. You're going to start to see the opportunities where you really do have enough time to do things, where things do not feel so rushed, where you are not, working on what I like to call the 11th hour energy. Oh my God, it's the 11th hour. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. No, there's no rush anymore, because you declared it. You declared that you no longer have to be in a hurry, right? So this is what it means to get a download and then follow through on the download, right? Now, when we tap into the obedience side of intuition, what is obedience? Obedience, and that's a trigger word for some people. So put in whatever phrase is going to be less triggering for you so you can get the message. Some people hear obedience and they are triggered, especially like if you grew up in the church and you came out of the church, like that can be a very triggering word. Think of something that equals obedience, but doesn't necessarily like isn't the word obedience. You could say follow through. You could say, when I listen, when I do what I'm told, like whatever, right? Whatever is not triggering for you. But when we think about obedience within our intuition and obeying our intuition, that looks like following through on the guidance that we received, following through on what was told to us, what was given to us is actually a much better way to phrase that. What was given to us? What was given to you? Were you given an idea? Were you given a download like the one I had this morning to get out of a certain energy, right? Because if we take, let's use that as an example, if we take it back to the chaotic, in a hurry energy and constantly rushing and all of these things and feeling like there's not enough time and feeling like, time is moving too quick and all of these things, it's like, oh my God, I gotta go, 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 go. Well, you usually ask, like, you ask, how can I have more time? How can I get out of this. I'm tired of rushing. I'm tired of feeling like there's never enough time. I'm tired of feeling like I need to, like I can't get everything done, right? So you get tired. One second, I'll be back. You get tired of that feeling. You get tired of operating like that. And you ask, can I not be tired of, or can I not rush? I'm tired of rushing. Can I have more time, right? That's using this example. Can I have more time? Well, sometimes a download doesn't come as way of what you need to do, but it comes by way of what you need to declare. Write that down. That was good. I'm going to repeat that. Sometimes your download does not come by way of what you need to do, but it comes by way of what you need to declare. And so in this instance, when I wanted to get out of chaotic rushing energy all of the time, then I needed to declare that I have enough time. I needed to declare I am always on time. I lost my train of thought. I have enough time. I don't have to rush. I have plenty of opportunity, right? Because then we take that even further, right? If we're looking at it at that affirmation as an I have, like I have enough time, then like I said earlier, the reality is going to replicate that. The reality is going to reflect that back to me, where I'm going to find so many more pockets of time, and I'm going to recognize that I don't have to rush. But then we take that further. What does that say under the I am affirmation? I am calm. I am peaceful. I am operating on a smooth nervous system. I am able to complete my tasks. I am present. I am able to be present, right? Like all of these things. And so that simple little fix comes from a download from learning how to listen to your intuition, but then following through on the obedience and recognizing that obedience is not always something you have to do. Sometimes intuitive obedience is who you have to be, what you have to be, right? I have to be present. I have to be calm. I have to be patient. So to have to do it and then to actually do it, well, this is when the reality starts to reflect it back to you. So now I've been giving the download, okay, well, this is what you need to declare. And when you declare it, that is what you have to operate in. That is the identity that you fall under, right? But then it gets to go beyond that. Then it gets to go into deeper. Because what happens if you're not in chaotic rushing energy? If you're not in chaotic rushing energy, then you're in calm energy. Have you ever, think about this when you're listening back, have you ever created something that was good? And good is subjective, but that was good, that came from chaotic energy. Have you ever created something that was really good out of desperate energy? And I'm not saying that you haven't created out of desperate energy. I've created out of desperate energy. If I desperately needed some money, I put together a guide real quick and put it out there. But what I'm saying is when it was out of chaos and out of desperation, which then stems from a place of doubt and a place of uncertainty and a place of I just need to get it together right now. Well, it was not as good. In hindsight, I can look at some of those things that I had created during that time. Did they do what they were supposed to do? Did I get a little money from them if I was in desperate money energy? Sometimes. Not every time, but sometimes. But when I'm actually secure in what I'm doing, secure in the identity that I'm holding, secure in listening to my intuition, secure in obeying my intuition, well, then the ideas that come through are more divinely guided. They're divinely led. They serve a higher transformation. There is an example that pops out so clearly right now for me. And I remember I had created, low key out of some desperate energy, I had created like a TikTok growth guide, right? Sold it for like $7 and it worked. At the time I had hit 1,000 followers really quickly, and then it did slow down because I'm not at 2K yet. But anyways, I had hit 1,000 followers like rather quickly, and I hit that so that I could go live. And so I made a growth guide for that. And like, did it sell some copies? Yes. Was it my best work? No. Was it transformative? No. Was it intuitively guided? No. That was all ego. But I didn't know this back then. But I mean, I know it now. But back then I didn't know this. But it was a 1,000% ego. It was an ego-driven product. Or, to just to put something out there to say that I did it, right? Now, when I create through obedience of the intuition, well, now when I create, the things that I put out there serve a higher purpose. The stuff that I put out actually has thought into it. It actually comes from experiences. It actually comes from being divinely guided and divinely led. And when it comes from the intuition, the person on the receiving end, the people who support me and do, go through these transformations themselves by way of the products that I have put out there, they actually experience a transformation. They experience releasing of doubt. They experience releasing of imposter syndrome. They experience more money in their business. Those are the top 3 things that women who do the identity work with me end up getting. Money in their business, no more doubt, no more imposter syndrome. And the thing about it is the way it works now versus how I used to do it when it was more of an ego business was I would tell people what to do, right? I would tell people this is what you should be doing. This is what you need to be doing, right? Now, I will say that in my content because I want people to think. But in sessions, in the behind the scenes, in the actual inner work, I don't tell people what it is that they need to be doing. Because what I have learned through obedience and my own intuition is I don't always know what you need to be doing. Your mission is not my mission. Your obedience to your intuition is not my obedience to my intuition. My obedience is to help you tap into and uncover what is going on beneath the surface with your intuition. My obedience is to give you the tools and the resources to be able to lean into your own self-trust, to be able to lean in and learn how to listen to yourself, to be able to lean in and learn how to not doubt yourself, how to not second guess everything that you do. That's my job. My job is to guide you with those tools. My job is to give you the resources. Because my experience has brought me to this point. Look, Jesus. Learning to lead with my own intuition brought me to this. And I learned this through multiple mentors and things like that by having different mentors who some had said, this is what you need to do. And I remember doing it and I was like, this is not even how I want to operate. This doesn't even resonate with me. Right? But I had to go through that to then recognize in my own space, like, wait a second, that's not exactly how I want to replicate. That's not how I want to do it. And so with that, then came the next set of mentors, right? The next, if you look at a transformation, if you want to look at it like climbing a ladder, right? Then came the next step. Well, the next step was like, okay, Nikki, you know that you tried this and you don't want to do this. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I didn't know. I didn't even know how to tap into that. So what is this? What do you mean? Like, yes, I know I have an intuition, but I don't really know how to access it. I remember going through that period. I was like, I don't really know what that means. I don't know how to access it. I don't know what being intuitively led is. I don't know what trusting of a divine is. I don't know what it means to be divinely led. I don't know what it means to be able to access intuitive information like that, right? And I remember I went through, that was, like I said, if we're looking at a ladder, that was the next step, was them finding people who could help me tap into that, help me uncover that. And so I had a mentor who taught me identity work. And we did that. That was years ago. We did that. It was a little tough at times, but we did it. And then after that, then it came into the intuitive work, right? Because now it's like, well, I kind of know who I am. I'm getting a glimpse of these gifts and of these downloads, but I can't hold the space. I can't hold the channel, if you will, for lack of a better term. I don't know how to do that. So then came by way of an intuitive mentor. I think she's called a spiritual life coach. I don't really know her official title. I just know the work that we have done has been about intuitive strengthening. So then I got this, and I'm giving you this breakdown so that if you ever, when you go on this journey, you will understand that there are levels to it. So then when I was able to get the intuitive breakthrough and understand my intuition and learn to lean into my intuition and not look around to everybody else for guidance or for what to do, then I knew, I was like, okay, now I know what I can do and what I'm meant to do, right? But then came the next step. The next step was stepping into the leadership to be able to come on places like this, like these lives, like this podcast, and speak to it, teach other people how to do it, right? And that for me, that was the challenging piece, right? Was getting into that space. So then when I thought I needed strategy because it wasn't going the way I wanted, I thought I needed strategy, and I went and I hired somebody who I had assumed would help me with strategy, and it all came out like the strategy. I've already had the strategy, with the corporate sales background and a marketing background and being online for 6+ years, excuse me, and, making money inconsistently. I knew a strategy. And at the end of the day, there really are no bad strategies, but that's a whole other live topic I'll do another day. Excuse me. But what I needed was the belief in the leadership. And so then I went through that. Becoming. And I mean, that's a forever process. You're never going to stop becoming, right? You're always going to be becoming. You're always going to continue to be. And as you continue to be as a being, a human being, you will continue to evolve. And as you continue to evolve, you will continue to, for lack of a better term, unlock new intuitive levels. Once upon a time, to get guidance, once I was able to understand intuition and things like that, what started all of this was, well, what really started it was writing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea that what I was doing was like intuitive writing 10 years ago. It was just something I like to do. But what ended up coming forward, what ended up starting it post writing, was meditation. And so when I started meditating, then that was the only way I could access information. I would have to sit and meditate to access information. But the more that you learn how to listen to your intuition and strengthen your intuition, then you can access it. There's no snap there. You can access it without actually having to always sit in a meditation, without always having to go on and search for the answer, right? What ends up happening is you then are able to hear these downloads during your day-to-day. Like this morning, the question yesterday for me was, how can I get out of this chaotic, I'm tired of rushing energy? The download today was essentially declare it. Declare it, and we, the universe, by what I meant by we, reflect it. The higher power that you believe in will reflect it back to you, that there is always enough time. And then once you declare it, then there is a practice. You have to practice. You have to continue to declare it before you can recognize it, right? And that is where self-awareness comes in. Learning how to catch yourself before you act on something, right? Because it's going to take some time to recalibrate years and years of conditioning. Taking it back to the time example, if you have been in a spot where you have constantly been rushing for 2 decades, 3 decades, whatever the case may be, and then you're suddenly told by way of your intuition to declare that you have time, well, now you have to catch yourself feeling rushed every single time. Hi, friend. Oh, I'm happy you're here. You have to catch yourself being rushed every single time. So like today, the declaration came through. I always have enough time. That was my download. Declare it. So it has been declared, right? I have time. I no longer rush. And so from that declaration, when I was actually about ready to hop on and do this live, what happened is I looked at the clock. Now I know what time I have a meeting. I looked at the clock and I almost said, oh, I almost came on here and the first words out of my mouth were almost coming on stuff I need to hear. Girl, join in on the conversation. The download was almost me catching myself and being like, oh my God, well, I have to go live and I don't have enough time. I was like, pause. Pause, pause, pause. There is power in the pause. Pause. What did you just declare 3 hours ago? That you always have enough time. That my task will always get done. that I do not have to work under the 11th hour energy and the pressure of it is due in 60 seconds. I don't have to work like that. I don't have to operate anything like that. Even if my children are operating on the speed, the frequency that children operate on, which to grown-ups is slow. Children have no concept of time. Children, they don't get time. You tell them we're running late, they don't know what that means. You tell them we have to leave in 5 minutes, they don't know what that means, right? What a blessing. When you think about it, what a blessing. But taking it back to me and my declaration, if my children are operating like that, on that speed, it is still my responsibility and my declaration that we will always have enough time. I don't have to take my children and raise them up in chaotic rushing energy. They can still be children. They can grow up and see that there is always enough time because I've declared it. And so now my reality will start to reflect it. And as long as I, as a center of the I am, hold that frequency and hold that space, then I will see more pockets of time. I will see the ability, or I will see more opportunities where I don't have to rush. And again, this is going to come back into the pause. This is going to come back into, not reacting right away, not jumping into the old way of thinking or the old way of operating, because it goes beyond thought. It goes into the belief, right? And so this is intuitive guidance. Intuitive guidance is it's not always an image. It's not always, you need to go do this and you need to create that and you need to operate on this idea and you need to jump on this idea and all of these things. It doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it's just, I'm going to tell you what to declare and you need to declare it. And when you declare it, you continue to declare it. And I, as the universe, as God, as a higher source, as, the divine, whatever, I will reflect it back to you. As long as you hold that frequency, because a higher power is right within you, that is what intuition is. As long as you hold that frequency, now you get to co-create with spirit, with source, and that job is to reflect back to you what it is that you're putting out. That's it. That's all it is. That's all intuition is. And so when you obey the intuition, and your intuition is giving you like little glimpses of what it is you need to do or say or be, and when you obey it, then it gets to become reflected back to you. Then the reality starts to shift. I've talked about affirmations before, and I've talked about the law of assumption and using I have affirmations, right? Especially if you're kind of getting started. Or you've been in the I am and it's not working well. I had to do this shift before I could come back into the I am, because the I am it's powerful. But so I had to do the I have, right? And I would do the I have by way of the future. I have clients who pay me every day. I have enough money for everything that I need. I have more money than I need, right? I have a sold out mastermind. I have a sold out mentorship. Whatever it is, I have a wonderful home for my children, right? So this is where you affirm it, the future right here in the present, right? That's the I have for the things that you desire to have. But then you take it further and you get into the I am. Who are you that has those things? If I have the sold out mastermind, for example, then I am a thoughtful leader. I am obedient to my mission. I am a 7-figure business owner. You see what I mean? So then the things, you write it out like that. The thing that you have from the future that you can see, right? Do those first. I have. Write them in the present tense. And then get into the I am. Who are you that has that? What do you need to do now that has that? And thank you so much for the likes. I was going to say thank you, but I was on a little mission. So I was on a roll and I was like, I don't want to lose this thought. But thank you so much for the likes. I do appreciate it. I said yesterday's live, I am not the best at calling that stuff out. And so I apologize, but I really do appreciate it. But anyways, and so back to the affirmations. This is how then you get to really feel the frequency shift within, right? You get to you declare what you have in the present as a now, and then you take it a step further. You declare who you are in the quote unquote present as the now. And now your job is just to continue to believe it, to continue on the declaration, to continue to operate in that frequency, to continue to listen to your intuition and obey the downloads, even if the download seems silly. Today's download was so silly. What do you mean I have to just declare? What do you mean I just like declare something? But that's all it was. I had to declare it. And then I received confirmation when I joined one of the mastermind calls, and it kind of aligned with some of the stuff that we're talking about, or that I was talking about today, and that I was feeling earlier. And I was like, okay, this is my declaration. I'm going to leave you with this before I go. I'm going to say this. When you have a thought, when you have a download that comes through, and then you, let's see, you have a thought, you have a download that comes through, and then you hear somebody else say something similar. And that's especially if you're a business owner. You hear somebody else say something similar, and you're like, dang, I was going to go talk about that today. And you feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. Because now somebody who like either you respect, you look up to, you admire, larger following, whatever it is, right? They've talked about it. And you're like, dang it, I got some imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know if I should say it. Like, they're a little bit more respected than me, right? Like, all of these little creepy little doubts come up. All of these thoughts all of these thoughts come forward. Instead of looking at it like imposter syndrome, I want you to start looking at these things as confirmation. It is confirmation that what you are talking about, other people need to hear. It is confirmation that your thought process, your I don't know what Bob means. It is confirmation that your thought process, your download, all of the things that you received are true. Are what other people need to hear, right? So instead of looking at it as like, oh my God, I have imposter syndrome, they said this, like maybe I shouldn't say this, am I just copying, all of these things, then it's instead of looking at it like that, look at it as confirmation, because confirmation can come in a lot of different ways. And I used to be so guilty about when I would hear somebody talk about something that was on my heart to talk about, I then wouldn't want to speak to it because I would feel like an imposter. I would be like, oh, I have imposter syndrome. Like, I don't want to, I'm not going to say that. Like, they're more respected or yada, yada, whatever it is, right? Like, those thoughts used to creep up for me. And so finally, one day I was like, and another download, I was like, maybe it's not that it's imposter syndrome. Maybe that's confirmation for me that this is actually the topic to speak on. And sure enough, once I stopped looking at it like imposter syndrome and started looking at it as confirmation, well, then I was able to show up differently. The energy shifted because it was the outer world was confirming my inner world. Okay, thinking about reality, or thinking about your reality being a reflection of your intuition and what you do intuitively. When you look at it like that, see, the ego likes to look at it as imposter syndrome, but the intuition will look at it as confirmation. Your confirmation sometimes comes through by way of other people speaking. Thank you again for the likes. I was saying earlier, sometimes I don't pop in and say it because I'll be like on a roll. I don't want to lose my thought, but thank you for the likes. I appreciate them, and the gifts. Over here we have, Brazil. Well, welcome into the house, Brazil. Nice to see you. But yeah, and so I think I was gonna leave with that, but my mind kept going. But yeah, look at it like that. Don't look at it as like as a comparison. Look at it as confirmation. That's what I'm trying to say. The confirmation will sometimes come through by way of other people. It will come through by way of what other people are saying, right? At the end of the day, if you truly believe in the divine and spirituality and all of these things, then the humans, us, meat suits, whatever, like, we are vessels. We are vessels to bring forth information from outside. That's it. That's all it is. And so when somebody's talking about something that you wanted to like you know, talk about or that you had questions on or whatever, like let that serve as confirmation. But use your discernment too. Like, listen, okay, I'm gonna say this and I'm really gonna go because I do have to go. Use your discernment too. If you are scrolling on TikTok, you're scrolling on Instagram, you're watching YouTube, whatever it is, like, let me say, even though, yes, everybody is a channel and has a message, not every dang tarot reading out there is for you, okay? Use your discernment. Don't be one of those people who's like, oh, that message is for me, and that message is for me, and that message is for me. No, not everything is for you. Anyways, with that, I am out of here. I am going to put this up to my YouTube. I'm a little behind on putting things on YouTube. So tonight I'll put everything up on YouTube from this week for replay. And then I have this recorded to go on the podcast that will be coming out in about 2 weeks. The last piece that I will say is I do have the identity rewrite in my bio. That is a free 5-day email course to go through and rewrite your identity. And what that means is releasing doubt, releasing imposter syndrome, learning how to trust yourself, learning how to trust what it is that you are meant to be doing. Day 3 is all about uncovering purpose, and just a good starting point for those of you who are ready to go on a journey and get out of these, trapped patterns of unfulfillment and uncertainty and doubt and all of these things, and actually like learn how to lean into your intuition so that you can embrace the work you're supposed to be doing. So that is the link in my bio. It is called The Identity Rewrite. It's the very top link on there. You can go grab that for free. If you want help journaling, if you want to do more intuitive writing to be able to tune into your intuition, you can do that in that course. There's intuitive writing in there. But the other thing that I will say is you can grab Intuitive Writing Mastery. That is my course that serves more as a toolkit. Inside of there, we go on a whole transformative process to connect you with your future, past, and present self, as well as uniting all the versions of you. There's a lot of intuition stuff on there. It's a very like intuitive strengthening type of toolkit. Something I wish I would have had when I was starting, which is exactly why I created it. So you can visit the link in my bio and you can grab that. That one should be the second link. And then if you have a business, you can also go peep the bio because there are some business tools in there to be able to align your business with your intuition. I will see you all in the next live. And if you're listening to this through the podcast, then I will see you in the next episode. Bye.